let's get on to our mocks side by side here. Here we go. And yeah, so Pete's mock is right above him. My mock's right above myself. We both got Joe Burrow. Shocker. What a shocker there. We both got Chase Young going to the Redskins, so we don't need to explain that. So we actually have a difference at number 3. You went Derek Brown. You went a little bold there. Not a little, maybe a little bit.
I mean, I just think talking about best available player and looking at the top of the board, I think Derek Brown's a better prospect. Or just a better. I mean, obviously they play different positions, but I think he's a better, just a better grade than Okudah there. And I think the Lions have needs in both areas, but I think they just take the better player. And I think Derek Brown's a big difference maker. So that's kind of what I went with Derek Brown.
I would agree with you that I think Derek Brown. I don't know why it says DK next to his name.
Decaf Metcalf.
DK. It's supposed to say D line next to his name, so ignore that. The graphics guy. It's just I keep saying I'm going to get rid of him, and he just keeps messing up. But Derek Brown, I agree with you saying that should be the higher graded player. But I just think they go. We got another donation. Jordan Thomas donated $2. How good do you think LSU's Clavon Chason, boom or bust? Boom. I like Chason
I like
a
him
lot.
a lot.
People talk about he's like kind of the traits guy. You're taking him off the traits, not the production, but he had the production. Like he had it. He just didn't have maybe as much as Chase Young or he had production. I like that what I like a lot is he always showed up in big time moments. Like you see the biggest games of the year, it's third down. And he's getting after the quarterback, getting the pressure. I always notice that, even big run stops. So I like Chase on. He's going to be top 15 on my big board. So I appreciate the donation. But, yeah, I'm still predicting the pick. I don't think it should be Jeff Okudah. I hope if they do take him, they trade back and, grab him. But I think that's what they do right now. They trade Slake because they knew where they were sitting to get Okudah possibly. But how much better do they get going that route? I always say that. So, and then we have a lot of differences in our mocks here. But the first page, the first 4 picks, we have just one different. We both have Jedrek Wills. Now, a lot of Giants fans want Isaiah Simmons, or a lot of people think Isaiah Simmons is the pick. Why did you go Jedrek Wills?
I think they just need help at tackle. I don't know. I think he's my best tackle in the draft. Even though it's pretty close at the top, but I don't know. It's just what I don't. It's not what I would do. I just kind of what I think the Giants are gonna do. You never could predict what Gettleman's gonna do, though. He doesn't really like picking linemen in the first round either. You hear about that, but I think they really need to address it. They've been addressing defense a lot recently with either picks or trading picks. They've been investing in defense, so I think they just go offensive line route.
Yeah, I'm kind of just thinking Jedrek Wills. I think you can plug and play at right tackle, keep Solder in there at left tackle. But if you need your future left tackle and you view that's more important, I think Wills has the ability to swap over there. So that's our first 4 picks. On to the next 4, and only one the same here. Only one of them the same. So we both went. I think both these are a little bold, but it's kind of what I'm feeling for the Dolphins at 5. I think Andrew Thomas could be the pick. I've heard that they are very high on Andrew Thomas, the Georgia tackle, and Tua, the injury is a little scary. I'm not really buying that they like Justin Herbert. I still think they like Tua better than Justin Herbert. They just don't feel comfortable taking that guy at 5. So I think Andrew Thomas, who's starting to get some buzz, quite a few teams in on him. I think that could be the pick there at 5. But you got Tristan Wirfs, so you went a little different route there.
Yeah, Wirfs is just my second tackle. I think teams view him as that. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. We'll see how it unfolds, but just looked like a freak at the combine. He played really well for Iowa, and that's why I just have him going there.
Yeah, so I see a lot of people in the chat surprised no Tua yet, but I don't know. I don't want to believe everything at this time of the year, but the fact that he was hurt and teams are kind of really scared about that, it's kind of believable that he could drop.
This year's weird too. Again with the Rona over here, but
yeah,
teams just couldn't bring in Tua and I know they checked him medically at the combine and everything, but I think teams are just even that. I think he's fine now, but all the injuries he's had over the years, I think teams are really scared. I mean, you see what you see quarterbacks all the time. I mean, Mariota went through the same thing, went through a bunch of injuries, and it just totally just
changed his game.
Yeah, it's just changes him mentally and physically on the field. So I think teams are just scared of that, and I kind of buy into the rumors a little bit that he's going to fall.
Yeah. We both have Justin Herbert. You know, if I'm in the front office, I'm not making this pick. I am not a Justin Herbert fan. I'm a fan of his arm strength and the velocity he puts on the ball. That's really about it. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan, but I think the Chargers go that route. I think they view him as a fit. Maybe they start Tyrod Taylor right away. They have a good enough team to win now, so they can afford to do this, even though they do have other needs. But they're still a good enough team now where it maybe wouldn't be the end of the world if something like this happened, this route happened. So I went Herbert. You got the same thing for similar reasons, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan, but that's again, this is what I think's going to happen. I mean, I'm probably going to be wrong, but uh, that's just how I feel. I think it's a big gap between. I think Joe Burrow's top tier. I think there's a little gap going to Tua, and then I think there's a little gap going to Herbert and Love. So
Yeah, and then I had Derek Brown going 7. You already had him going to the Lions at 3. So I think the Panthers lost a lot of their defense linemen. It's a big need. Joe Brady's seen the guy play when he played LSU and see how dominant he was against his offense. So I think they'll know how good of a player he is, and it's an impact player, and it helps them right away. So that was the pick here for pick 7. Isaiah Simmons gonna be higher on my board, and that'd be a great pick. It's the question of does he fit. I think he fits more of a 4-3 team, but special guy like that can fit pretty much anything. But I'm thinking Derek Brown's the pick here. But so we basically are swapped.
yeah,
You had Derek Brown to the Lions, I had Jeff Okudah to the Lions, and then now we both have the opposite player to the Panthers here. So yeah, I'd agree. If
yeah,
Jeff Okudah doesn't go 3, this is a likely landing spot
yeah. I
here.
think Panthers would be really happy to see Akuda there. Lost Bradbury in free agency. And they weren't very strong at cornerback, so I think that's a big pickup for them.
And then we go to the Cardinals. We both have offensive linemen. You have Tristan Wirfs off the board, but I went Tristan Wirfs. I think it's that plug-and-play right tackle for them, which they definitely need for Kyler Murray. A lot of pressure from that specific spot, last year. So that makes them a ton better. I think worst-case scenario, which is kind of a good thing. The very worst-case scenario for Tristan Wirfs, he's a very solid guard. So I think it's a pretty safe prospect, even though it might be a little bit of a letdown if he fails that tackle, which I don't see that in this system. But I just thought I'd throw it out there. And you went Becton.
Yeah,
At 8.
I think we could put Andrew Thomas there too. I just don't know how the drug testing is going to affect Becton, but I think, and this is just based off of what my tackle ratings are and also what I think teams' tackle ratings are. I think teams love Mekhi Becton, just like a freak athlete, and he's just a bully on the field, just like literally
Yeah.
just dominates people. So I think any team would love to have him, especially if he's there at 8.
Next 4 picks. Every pick is nope. We got the bottom 2. Bottom 2 is different. I think a little later in the draft, every pick's gonna be different. But you have Tua come off the board. I still have him available. You have him coming off the board to the Jags at pick 9, and I have Isaiah Simmons, the Clemson linebacker, to the Jags. So yeah, they could go Tua. I've been saying all offseason the Jags can be a sneaky team for quarterback. But I think that there's a serious scare for most teams about the injury for Tua, and Isaiah Simmons sitting here to be able to put him with Joe Schobert, Miles Jack. They can create a very scary defense there, and you get everything for Simmons. Simmons, top 3 player in his draft. He just cannot get by this point. I've heard, from sources that Isaiah Simmons actually might drop to around. This is dropping for him. It's not that far, but this is very realistic because there's gonna be a fight over the tackles, and then you got to throw the quarterback situation up there too. So I just don't think he gets by this point. And you got 2 out of the Jags.
Yeah. Again, we can't do trades, but I think like a team could trade up for Tua. But I just had him going to the Jags. I think it's just something they really can't pass on. I think again, when I talked about the quarterbacks, I think Joe Burrow's at the top, but I think Tua's right under him, and I think it's a gap from there. So I think him falling to 9, I think they should roll with him. And even if he's still not healthy, you could just roll with Minshew right now and then put Tua in. But I think he's ready to go. I think you should just start him day 1.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because we talk about we're kind of buying into the fact that Tua might drop because of the injury scare, and the injury scare is legit because speaking of the Jags, we saw Juwan Taylor last year. Like we thought he was going to be a possible pick for the Jags in the first round. And then oh my God, Jawan Taylor's still here, and for this team, everyone's passing on. Then we hear there was an injury, there's a little bit of an injury scare, and people didn't have enough information because it just happened recently. He drops all the way to the second round. Now we're talking about quarterback, the position you need to put your most trust in, and you can't trust if he's injured or not. So I think Tua, I still have him on the board. I think he can slide because of it. All it takes is one team that really needs a quarterback, so he can definitely still go early. But I still got him on the board. But either one of those would be, I think, a really good pick for the Jags. And then you had Isaiah Simmons come off the board at 10, going to the Browns, and I had Mekhi Becton, who you already had off the board. But yeah, this is kind of a no-brainer at this point for the Browns, I think. You need a left tackle. You got Conklin, the right tackle in free agency. Stefanski wants to run the ball, throw the ball to the backfield, and the Becton will be perfect for that. Situation. So, but then there's the rumors that the Browns may trade out of the spot. If Becton's there, I think he's just too perfect for that system that you just can't trade back out of the spot for a lower value offensive tackle. It just wouldn't make much sense to me. But I think in your situation, maybe a too good to pass moment.
Yeah, and they lost Christian Kirksey too, and they lost Joe Schobert, didn't they too?
Yeah.
So I think they would put him in. That's the thing is you don't know like what teams view Isaiah Simmons as. And I think that's why he's going to drop a little bit. I'm not saying that's like a negative thing. Like he's very versatile. But I think the tackles will kind of push him down too. I think there's going to be a run on some of those high-end tackles in the beginning, and that's why I just have Simmons falling. And then I think he'd fit in well with the Browns. I think they'd love to have him there.
Yeah, if he somehow did get there, I just don't see them passing either. But and then we got some similarities here. We got both going CeeDee Lamb to the Jets at 11, and both of us going Jerry Jeudy 12. I mean, you can swap those two, and it would be realistic still. I just think. I think the majority of the teams have to have CeeDee Lamb at receiver 1. So that's kind of why I went CeeDee Lamb first off the board with the Jets. Helping Sam Darnold out there, so that made sense. And Jerry Jeudy would be good. That would be a great situation for the Raiders too. Because he plays pretty evenly from the slot and outside, and I think they need somebody that can definitely do that. So I think that'd be great for both teams. And we're moving on to the next 4 picks. And all of them different. We're all different. All of them.
There we go.
So you went Niners taking Javon Kinlaw. Neither of us went receiver. Niners fans may not be happy with that, but I think they're more interested in the CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy. So you went Javon Kinlaw to replace DeForest Buckner. I went C.J. Henderson. There's rumors that C.J. Henderson go top 10. I think the reason he would go top 10 is if somebody traded up there. We didn't do trades here. So in this scenario, which is realistic in my opinion, I think it'd be perfect for like a press. He's a press zone corner, in my opinion, and that's what the Niners they love running press zone, press cover 3. We see that's why Richard Sherman, so good because he's so dominant in that coverage. I think C.J. Henderson's pretty similar, and I think he'll thrive in that system. So, if he was there, I think they'd be highly interested. But you went Kinlaw.
Yeah, I mean they traded this pick. They got this pick for DeForest Buckner, but I mean you could just replace him with Javon Kinlaw here, and I think he could be a better player. And also, I mean he's on a rookie deal. You have him for 4 years, and then plus you have that option too. You don't have to you didn't have to pay up and pay Buckner. So I think that's a good replacement. And I know the Niners really, I think their defense really runs through that D line there. So I think that's kind of what they want to rebuild, and hopefully it takes them back to the Super Bowl, and they have some other pieces that help them win it all. So that's kind of what I want with Kinlaw.
And in the Bucks, you went with Andrew Thomas. I went Henry Ruggs, and I already see people in the chat. Every time I mock this, people get mad. No way they're taking a receiver, and the reason you guys say that is because you need an offensive lineman pretty badly. But I have all 4 offensive linemen off the board, the top 4 offensive linemen, which is realistic. So do you want them to reach for a Josh Jones? It wouldn't be the end of the world if they did that, but we didn't do trades. Remember, they trade back and target an offensive lineman, but people don't realize how important. Especially in Bruce Arians' system, how important a guy like Henry Ruggs would be. Chris Godwin dominated last year. He moved to kind of Arians' slot receiver. He's kind of a new school type of slot receiver. Mike Evans obviously outside. Henry Ruggs is that speed threat on the outside. Everyone thinks he's smaller. He's a slot. He can play in a slot, but he's outside. And that would just make that offense that much better. Would Bucs fans rather them reach for an offense line? I don't get when people get mad about that one. They could. There's other routes they can go, but in this scenario, with those offense linemen off the board, they didn't want to trade back. They go Henry Ruggs. That would be the pick. But yeah, you went Tom. Well, that you see, you had Thomas on the board still, so that made sense.
Yeah.
Like if he's on the board still, they take Thomas. I had him going 5th overall. Um, we got a donation here. It didn't pop up on the screen actually. Ibrima John, $2. 49ers signed Verrett. Johnson at cornerback, no corner at 13. Yeah, it doesn't mean much.
Yeah, Verrett's always hurt.
Yeah, I think they're going to be targeting a corner, not at 13 necessarily. If C.J. Henderson's there, they will take him. I think he's a perfect fit. They teams sign guys all the time, like right before the draft. I know it wasn't right before the draft, but they, it doesn't really mean much. You can't predict the draft, so that's why they sign guys while they can. Because what if you fail to sign this guy and then you go to the draft because you think you're going to get one in the draft and then you don't? You kind of screw yourself. So that's why they do things like that. So if C.J. Anderson was there, I think they would take him. Unless CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy are there too, they may go that route. But yeah, just because who they sign doesn't mean that's you see it every year. Appreciate the donation. But then we both had receiver for the Broncos. You still had Henry Ruggs on the board, so that made sense. If I had Henry Ruggs on the board, I would have went there as well. Justin Jefferson, it's sounding realistic. He can go in this range, and the Broncos would like him very much, to play in the slot. I think he's the best true slot receiver in the class. So, yeah, best receiver available, both worthy of the pick. If Ruggs was there, I'd say, if in my scenario, if he was still there, I'd put him there as well. But, I heard they could go corner and they could go offensive line. I think you get the best value with the receiver here, though. And then we had the same as the Niners picks, but we flipped them. So we did that twice now. C.J. Henderson, you have going to the Falcons. So, yeah, you're thinking this is kind of the latest he goes. And then Javon Kinlaw, that's where I'm thinking the latest Javon Kinlaw goes. And the Falcons want to switch to kind of more of a 3-4, so they may be interested in Kinlaw. There's rumors they want to trade up. That they could be trading up for him just to be safe because I think they like him at kind of the 3-4 end spot. For their new, if they want to switch. It's just kind of me making predictions here because they brought in Dante Fowler, who thrived in the 3-4. Struggled a little bit in the 4-3. So we'll see. But and then Henderson, you had at 16. Yeah.
Someone in the chat was talking about Henry Ruggs. Low key, he said low key might be a bust, and I kind of agree with that. You always see like the fast guys, not a lot of them turn out. And that's why I have Jefferson. I'm still almost tempted to switch Justin Jefferson to wide receiver 3, but I think teams are just obsessed with speed and they see Tyreek Hill and they want to take Henry Ruggs. But I do see some problems with his game that he needs to work on, but I still think he's a good prospect.
Another donation, Ben Chase, $2. Stop going Ruggs at 14. He's the fall to 15. Well, Pete had Ruggs available there, so you're going to be on his side. Maybe the Broncos trade up a little bit to secure a guy like Ruggs. It's a possibility. So we're through 16 picks. We're on to the next 4 here, and we're all over the board here. So
we got quarterbacks at 18.
Yeah, I finally have Tua going 8 to the Dolphins. Still get him at 18. It's tough without trades because somebody probably, if he starts to fall, somebody probably trades up and takes Tua. But I think it's realistic. People, everybody always drops because of the injury. Why would you, just take a quarterback, that early if you do think he's hurt? So I think it's a possibility. But to start at 17, you had Clavon Chason, the pass rusher from LSU, going to the Cowboys. I had A.J. Terrell. I'm hearing a lot that Terrell will go earlier than we all think. So I think this is a realistic spot. He could be the 3rd corner off the board. The idea of him, the athleticism and length, combined is great. I think it's a little too early in my opinion. I wouldn't take him here. But yeah, it's an appealing product. I think he could be, a lot of man coverage at Clemson. I would prefer him, more of a zone-heavy scheme. But it's sounding like Terrell's going to go around this part a little earlier than we expect. And then you went Chason, just too good to pass there.
Yeah, and I think it just seems like a Cowboys guy to me. I don't know, just like they love those like freaky built defensive ends on their team. So I think he'll fit in and take Robert Quinn's spot.
And somebody said love over Tua, but Pete actually had Tua already off the board, so he's not going love over Tua. But so best quarterback available for the Dolphins, sitting here at 18.
Again, we got no trades, and I had him taking a tackle just because I think they value the tackles up there. I think they value them higher than and they're scared of Tua's injuries. I think they value higher than Justin Herbert. So they didn't get either of those quarterbacks, Herbert or Tua. So I had them just taking Jordan Love here.
Yeah, and I still had two on the board because there's not a whole bunch of QB needy teams before this, and the teams that are, I think the team like the Chargers may think Herbert's a better fit. I think the other teams that might need a quarterback really don't know if they're actually going to take one. They're on the fence about taking one too because like the Jags, they have Gardner Minshew, so why would they go and take a hurt one? Is my thinking, and why all these other teams, would they take a hurt one? So Tua, I still had on the board. The Dolphins wouldn't pass him at this point. We both had corners at 19. You had AJ Terrell come off the board of the Raiders. I had Jalen Johnson from Utah. I think both are realistic picks. I think they like Jalen Johnson, the best tackling corner in the class, and that'll be appealing to them, with other parts of his game being, pretty good. So,
We talked about Terrell already. I think he's rising up boards, and he played really well. I mean, like everyone looks at the national championship game and sees him get like burned twice on big plays. I mean, it's not really much he could do, honestly. I think it's just, I mean, LSU's very talented. I think Burrow put the ball where no one else can get it. It's just tough for him, but I think he's definitely a good player. And earlier I was talking about, I think corner 1 and cornerback 2 are kind of solidified, but I think like 3 through 7's it could kind of be any way it could be. But and I think also I just look at the Clemson ties to the Raiders. They took Cleveland Farrell last year. They got Trayvon Mullen last year. I think I just put Terrell in there. I think that'd be another Clemson guy for him.
And then you had Clavon Chason off the board already. Cowboys at 17. I had him to the Jags, and I'm starting to feel that the Yannick Ngakoue trade could be coming, and it's a very important position to them. It's a very important position in football, and to be able to pair somebody that good with Josh Allen, with Chason still on the board, I think is just can't miss right there. And you're going to gain something from Ngakoue, so I mean it's going to be a big win if this is the case here for the Jags. Then you had Patrick Queen there.
Yeah, I think like you said, they value. I mean, they really value defense. Look in the past with Telvin Smith and Puslesny and Miles Jack back when they were in the AFC Championship. Like that linebacker crew was good, and it's kind of fallen apart. So I think they addressed that by getting Patrick Queen there.
All right, and we're on to the next picks. So you go linebacker for the Eagles. I go receiver. Kenneth Murray. That's what you went. What do you got? What do you got for me?
I think it's just the need they need to address. I mean, receiver is also something the Eagles I know they want, but they still have Deshaun Jackson. They spent a second rounder on Arcega-Whiteside. I think they kind of want to see what they have there, and they still have Alshon Jeffrey too. But it's definitely, I mean, the receiver class is deep. I think that's something they'll address maybe later, but I think just linebacker is just a bigger need for them ever since they lost Jordan Hicks.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are in a team to watch out for, trading up for one of those top receivers. If they can't do it, this could be a pick. But Denzel Mims I consider a top receiver, and he's still on the board here. Just a all-around dominant tight end receiver in when he played at Baylor. Just a true outside receiver that I think he should be in the discussion with the top guys. I think he's just. He shouldn't get by this point. He shouldn't get by this point, in my opinion. There's some people that believe he can go early second still. But with the other guys off the board, I think the Eagles go Mims here, and then in this scenario. And then for the Vikings, you had Jeff Gladney, TCU, and I had Josh Jones from Houston. Why Gladney?
I just think that's a Zimmer guy right there. The corners are, again, 3 through 7 for me are pretty interchangeable, but I think Gladney just fits what the Vikings need there.
Yeah, Josh Jones still available here. It's possible he can be gone off the board, but it's rare that they're going to be able to find a tackle like this. They've had a hard time as it is for their left tackle of the future. So I just don't think they can pass on a Josh Jones. Another one of those guys. I think worst case scenario he's playing guard at a pretty high level, but I think they'll like him at left tackle, kind of taking Reeves' spot there, and they have Brian O'Neill at right tackle. So maybe too good to pass at the same time, exactly what they need. I still think they view, receiver might be their biggest need, but I think they view offensive line as their biggest need if the value's there. For the Patriots, you went Epinesa, pass rusher from Iowa, and I went Jordan Love. So the quarterback came off the board. Somebody very well could trade up. I think if he's still here, I think that 22 spot where the Vikings picks that prime spot, teams could be. We know the Vikings like to trade back. I think teams could wanting to hop the Patriots and maybe the Saints to take Jordan Love if there was trades here. So, but yeah, Jordan Love. The Patriots are supposed to be in on a quarterback. I've talked about this before. It wouldn't make sense to be in on a mid-round quarterback or even like a third-round quarterback because you already have those guys. It's either go big or go home. You got Stidham, you got Hoyer. I think Stidham's capable. I liked him last year at Auburn, but it's just either get better or don't get another. Just you get better elsewhere rather than getting another backup quarterback. So I think if he's here, I think they take him. It could be Eason. It could be. I like Eason a little better more than other people. So. It could be Eason. I'd be okay with that. But you went Epinesa. You think he fits on their D line?
Yeah, I think he'll fit as a 3-4, and but I mean, I think the Patriots could easily trade back in the spot like you're talking about, but he just seems like a Patriots guy to me, like would fit with the scheme, would be very productive in their scheme. Even though like everyone's kind of down on him about his testing numbers and everything, I think he's still a good player. But yeah.
And then you had Justin Jefferson still on the board at 24, so the Saints just have to.
Saints are happy there.
They have to.
I mean, yeah, they have to. That's what I think kind of came to mind. I also think it's just kind of like a luxury pick too. Like I said, they don't really have many needs, and like getting that third receiver would just be amazing for them. He could play inside, outside, and that's kind of how Michael Thomas is, and that's like kind of how Emmanuel Sanders is. So it's kind of very flexible for them.
And then I got Kenneth Murray. I talked about this a lot. I think they're looking for another outside linebacker, and they targeted Jamie Collins in free agency and missed, and that's kind of that hybrid linebacker that's going to get after the quarterback, and that's exactly what Murray's going to be. So I think that's somebody the Saints will like, and I think they need pressure from that linebacker unit. They don't really have that, so I think it just makes the defense that much better. I think it's a good fit what they're looking for, so I like Kenneth Murray to the Saints. But again, I talked about it earlier in the stream. Their key to winning it all is just making that offense as dominant as they can be. So that could be the case to go offense. So we'll see. And then the next group of picks, Vikings up again. You had Yoter Gross Matos from Penn State. The defensive end kind of replaced Everson Griffin there, and I had Christian Fulton, the corner from LSU. We know. So I had him passing on a receiver, which is gonna be tough because that receiver unit's pretty weak. But they're a team, they've missed on receivers in the first round. They've hit on receivers later. And they're a team that always looks at the depth of the position. So they'll see that the receivers are good. Even though I kind of disagree with that. The receivers are good later, like in the second round. I do agree they are good there. But I disagree that because it's deep, you should wait because these top-tier guys are really, really good. Instant impact, But Fulton would help them at the cornerback position. But Gross Matos, what are you thinking on him?
Yeah, I think he's fit in really well with them, and I think he should be productive too with Daniil Hunter on the other side. But I think they just need to fill that need that Everson Griffin's leaving them. But I definitely could see them taking Josh Jones. I still have Josh Jones on the board, and you already had him taken. But I just kind of feel that Spielman's going to kind of rebuild the defense a little bit.
And then 26, you actually had a little bit of a bold one. You got Antoine Winfield going to the Dolphins. And we got DB up there because, he can play safety or he can play the slot corner, which could be the spot for him with the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think they have needs at both spots, and I think he could be very versatile. And you always see, like, guys like this go higher than you expect, and I think he should be a first round. That's why I said he was one of my underrated players. But you always see, like, guys that have, like, dads that were in the NFL, like you always see them kind of get drafted a little bit higher, but I think he's a great player too. I think he's a good returner. He could play safety, he could play nickel, so I think the Dolphins would love to have him.
I went Isaiah Wilson. It was a pretty interesting scenario here, so I had him taking Andrew Thomas and Isaiah Wilson, and Isaiah Wilson's definitely getting a lot of buzz end of the first. So you get your left tackle, right tackle, all of a sudden I'm getting Tua in the middle there, so that would be big time for the Dolphins there. And just kind of feeling like a much better team already, more complete. So that would be interesting. And then Josh Jones, you had going to the Seahawks. And then we both went offensive line. You went tackle, I went the center / guard. So yeah, the Seahawks they need offensive line. Because look at left tackle, Dwayne Brown's good, but I mean he's getting up there in age. He got hurt at the end of last year. Then pretty much everywhere else, they could use Josh Jones at right tackle now, play left tackle when Brown's gone, and then Ruiz, like I said, kind of a one of a kind type of guy. I shouldn't really say that, 'cause other guys that can play center and guard in the draft, but in terms of their talent on top of that, really it feels like he's a one of a kind guy. And I think the Seahawks need exactly that. And then you had Ruiz going to the Ravens, so you think he's playing guard, kind of taking Yonda's spot.
Yeah.
And then I had a battle between Patrick Queen and Jordan Brooks. A lot of teams really like Jordan Brooks from Texas Tech. He's getting some first-round buzz, and I just view him as a Martindale inside linebacker, but I do Queen as well. And I still think Queen comes up the board before him. I'm kind of back and forth on that, so I did go LSU linebacker Patrick Queen there at 28. And then we see the final 4 picks of our mocks here, and you had the Titans going corner, Jalen Johnson from Utah.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it. Someone asked earlier about us potentially taking like I think it was Marlon Davison or a Ross Blacklock to fill Jarrell Casey, but I think Jeffrey Simmons is going to step up in that role, and like I said, they play a lot of 2-down linemen, and they'll play with like 5 DBs, and they'll put like Correa out there. They'll probably have like Correa, Beasley, and Harold Landry all out there at the same time. So they do a lot of different stuff, and I think they'll probably address D-line because they do need obviously another one, maybe a little bit later in the draft. But I think corner's kind of a top need for them, especially if they're not going to get Logan Ryan back. And then also they have Adoree Jackson's 5th-year option they'll probably pick up, but he's only got 1 more year then. And then Malcolm Butler's only got 1 more year next year. And I mean he's a potential cut candidate too, coming off injury. So one with Jalen Johnson there.
I went with Ross Blacklock. I think kind of replacing Jarrell Casey there. Get a little younger there, more athletic. And Blacklock I think has a ton of upside. They didn't really use him right at TCU. I think he was pretty productive as it was. So I think he'll get a ton of quarterback pressure from the D line for the Titans there. So. That's what I went, but then you had Blacklock going to the Packers. They need D line in their 3-4. With Kenny Clark, he's kind of it feels like he's kind of by himself on there.
I was looking at their depth; it wasn't very, very good, and I really don't know what they're doing with Rashawn Gary yet. I didn't really get to.
Yeah, I almost thought they would move him to 3-4 end because he's kind of the bigger body, but that was an interesting pick. But yeah, you went that route. I kind of went surprising. Ezra Cleveland from Boise State, the tackle. It sounds like he's going to go first round now. Trying to figure out where to put him, maybe somebody trades. But I'm really thinking about the Packers. They always make sure they retool that offensive line, even though if they're not going to start right away, which I think they can move Cleveland to right tackle. We see the more athletic tackles playing right side. It seems like there's a lot of speed rushers coming from that right side. So I think that made sense. And yeah, they always take tackle. They always take offensive line when we kind of least expect it. They really. When the next guy, the original guy leaves, they want to make sure someone's in place so, they're able to play their game. It's so smart. But, people may be expecting receiver, linebacker, D-line. I think a wild card is tackle. I think they would like Cleveland for right tackle, even though they signed Rick Wagner, but he's been really struggling. It's a 1-year deal. I think Cleveland would be better for them, honestly, right away. So that's why I went that route. A little bold, but you can see it. The Packers are smart with their offensive line. And then you had Christian Fulton going to the Niners, the cornerback from LSU. It just says CB. It doesn't say LSU. The graphics guys. The graphics guy. So Fulton is from LSU. He's not from, maybe it's DBU. It's CBU over there. There you go. It worked.
But yeah, I'm high on Fulton. I don't know if teams are as high on him as I am, but we talked about Niners needing another corner. You had them taking Henderson earlier, so I had them taking Fulton here.
Yeah. Just doing first round, and people are saying, yeah, we need receiver, we need this, we need that. It's not all about the needs, It's not all about the needs. It's kind of how you blow it. You got to take best player available or a player that's going to make your team. If you're in a win now mode, you take the player that's going to impact your team the most to win right now. If that's the case. And then I went Jalen Reagor to the Niners, so I had them taking corner with their first pick, not receiver. So they go receiver here, you take Reagor. And people were kind of comparing him to Debo a little bit. I think the build similar, but and they do a lot. Reagor's gonna stretch the field a little more downfield, a little speedy down the sideline, the home run threat downfield. Debo Samuel's kind of a home run threat on the other. I mean, he can do everything, but underneath throws, even the backfield. So I went that. I think that'd be a great draft for the Niners in that route. And then you went with a shocker here, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, LSU running back to the
I
Chiefs.
think he just fits perfect for them. I think they'd love to have him. I think we've been hearing too that teams are really high on him. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was the first running back taken here.
I would not be surprised if he was the first running back either. I just don't know if it's first. I don't know, it could be. People are like he's too similar to Damian Williams, maybe. But yeah, it's just such a good fit, and you get better with it, and you can have two of them out there. And I want Trevon Diggs, last pick of the first round. I mean, this guy is a first round talent. When I watch the tape and then you see the numbers afterwards, the best completion percentage in the class. Those are, I'm not a big numbers guy, but those are ones that stand out to me. And then you look at the tape and you see that, you kind of match them up, they make sense. So I like Diggs a lot. I think he should go way before this. I just don't think the Chiefs can pass on him in this scenario. He's just too good of a corner for them at pick 32. So he's just too good to pass. That's what I went with there.